The moment the fireball rose over the Russian coastline, everything changed. A single Ukrainian strike had reached deep into the Black Sea region and ripped through one of the most vital oil export hubs, feeding the Kremlin's war machine. The shockwave didn't just hit a port, it hit Russia's economy, its military logistics, and the illusion of invulnerability Moscow had tried to project for months. But this explosion did not appear out of nowhere. It was the result of a decision Vladimir Putin made hours earlier, a decision that transformed the night of November 13th into one of the darkest nights Ukraine had lived through in months. But to understand how this happened, we must rewind. Thursday, November 13th, began with a catastrophic miscalculation from the Kremlin. As Russian battlefield losses continued to build and strategic ground slipped away, Putin ordered another mass strike targeting Ukrainian civilians. The scale was staggering. Russia launched a reported 18 missiles and hundreds of drones toward Kyiv and adjacent regions. Russia's targets were not military bases. Russia hit 27 apartment buildings and 2 hospitals around Kyiv. Russian state TV commentators advocated striking civilian infrastructure, indicating an intent to coerce the population and break morale ahead of a brutal winter. The night that followed defied description. 6 people were killed, 29 others were injured, including a pregnant woman and 2 children aged 7 and 10. Survivors described buildings shaking, corridors filling with smoke, windows exploding inward, and the sound of emergency sirens echoing through the dark. Blood covered the entrances of shattered apartment blocks. Residents ran into the night with flashlights and blankets, while rescue teams struggled to reach people trapped on upper floors. It was, for many, a return to the terror Ukraine experienced in 2022. Even hospitals were not spared. 2 medical facilities suffered severe damage. Doors were torn off. Windows were blown out. 2 people were injured. Nearly 90 patients had to be evacuated to other hospitals in the middle of the night as doctors worked by flashlight. And Russia did not even deny what it was doing. Instead, Russian state television amplified it. One broadcaster declared, "In Ukraine, the dam on the Dnieper must be destroyed. Kyiv must be destroyed. The city must be flooded. Kharkiv must be annihilated. Sumy wiped off the face of the earth like Dnipro and other cities. At the beginning, we warned them. They don't understand. We carry it out. Well, it's not possible. Unfortunately, it's neither good nor bad. These are just facts. How else can you fight if not this way? Only this way." This was not a rogue statement. It reflected a systematic strategy, the intentional targeting of civilians as a method of warfare. Unlike early 2022, Ukraine now had a way to answer. And the answer that followed was immediate, precise, and devastating. Ukraine's response did not target Russian civilians. Instead, it targeted the economic core that funds Putin's invasion. Using long-range drones and domestically built missiles, Ukraine struck the Russian port city of Novorossiysk, one of the most strategically important maritime gateways the Kremlin relies on. The goal was not symbolic. It was structural, cut into the revenue stream that allows Russia to manufacture missiles, buy drones, and pay soldiers. The first step in Ukraine's operation was neutralizing the layered air defenses guarding the port. Ukrainian sources reported that S-300, S-400, and Pantsir S-1 systems near the port were hit, assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Once the air defenses were down, the next wave of drones and missiles focused on the cargo terminal and the port's oil terminal. This port plays an enormous role in Russia's economy. It sits on the northeastern Black Sea coast in the Krasnodar region and serves as one of the country's main export hubs. Analysts estimate the port handles roughly 30–35% of Russia's oil exports, including crude oil and refined petroleum products. In terms of oil export volume, it is the second largest port Russia possesses. Beyond energy, it is the largest Black Sea port by cargo volume, handling grain, fertilizers, metals, and other commodities that Russia depends on. And because it is a deep water port, it accommodates Russia's shadow fleet, the unregistered tankers Russia uses to bypass sanctions and sell oil discreetly on the global market. This made the strike not only military, but also economic. It was a hit that reverberated around the world. Scenes from the night show explosions lighting up the sky so brightly that residents miles away reacted in disbelief. In one clip, a Russian girl comments, even though she cannot see the blast itself, it was so bright there just now. It was so bright, it lit up all at once. The initial destruction of Russia's air defense systems triggered secondary explosions. These systems had been positioned dangerously close to an ammunition depot. The resulting blast produced a massive mushroom cloud visible across the city. Footage from residents captured a bright flash rising, followed by a vertical plume expanding into the night. Analysts noted that the size of the blast indicated a significant quantity of munitions had detonated. Hours later, Ukrainian officials confirmed what many had suspected. President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that Ukraine had used domestically produced long-range Neptune missiles in the operation. He also delivered a warning that Ukraine was producing more of these systems, and that more strikes were inevitable. By morning, Russian officials acknowledged a temporary suspension of oil loadings. They also confirmed that drone debris had damaged oil storage facilities and several ships, though they did not specify that some of these ships were part of Russia's shadow fleet. This detail matters because Russia uses unregistered tankers to quietly sell oil above the price cap and fund its war budget. Any damage to that fleet directly affects revenue. The shutdown of the port sent shockwaves through global markets. Global benchmark prices rose intraday by approximately 2-3% after reports of the strike. A single attack on a single Russian port caused an immediate global reaction. That alone demonstrated how central this location was to Russia's economy and to international energy stability. This consequence also highlighted a new shift in Ukraine's strategy, one that focuses on economically weakening the invasion, rather than matching Russia strike for strike on civilian areas. And there was another part of the story. One day earlier, Ukraine had struck the port of Tuapse, another major Black Sea energy terminal. When viewed on a map, both Novorossiysk and Tuapse stand out as critical pillars of Russia's maritime export system. Tuapse is Russia's 6th largest port. Novorossiysk is the 2nd largest. With both hits, Black Sea loading was severely disrupted. Remaining capacity centered on the Baltic and other nodes. This does not mean Russia's oil exports stopped entirely, but export revenues likely declined during the disruption window. And while sanctions from Ukraine, Europe, and the United States had already been cutting into Russia's profits, Ukraine's new long-range strike capabilities were now accelerating those losses. As the economic pressure increases, the Kremlin's response has been predictable: more attacks on Ukrainian civilians. The numbers and patterns remain consistent. Apartment buildings, hospitals, kindergartens, these have become routine Russian targets. That is why Ukraine continues pressing its partners for additional long-range systems, and why Ukrainian officials argue that deterrence, not escalation, is the real goal. When Ukraine can strike military and economic targets at long range, Russia is forced to reconsider its strategy of terror. Yet many legacy media outlets still frame the discussion around escalation rather than deterrence. Coverage often focuses on what might worry Moscow, instead of what is already happening to Ukrainian communities. This imbalance was one of the main reasons the creators of this channel launched their own platform. They wanted to report stories that were either overlooked or avoided by larger media networks, and they wanted to follow the evolving dynamics of the war with more depth and independence. That mission continues with their platform, Navy Insights, which aims to analyze the conflict and broader geopolitical shifts without the constraints or editorial pressures seen elsewhere. For viewers interested in independent coverage and detailed breakdowns of events like the Novorossiysk strike, the platform offers a growing archive of reports and insights. The attack on the port, the destruction of the air defense systems, the shockwave that lit up the Russian coastline, these events marked a turning point. Russia attempted to break civilian morale in Kyiv. Instead, it exposed how vulnerable its own economic infrastructure had become. And as Ukraine continues to expand its domestic missile production, this vulnerability will shape the next phase of the conflict. The question now is simple. If this is what Ukraine can do today, what will the next months look like as more long-range systems roll off Ukrainian production lines?